Hello, grand jury. I hope you guys are having a great day. And I'm just so excited that I get to come to you this afternoon and I get to talk to you about our grand jury. We are making history here, starting our grand jury and reconstructing it from the ground up. I want to take a minute and I want to go through a little bit of history with you guys. Some of you may have heard the story I'm going to tell if you heard my radio program that I did with Zen Garcia on Truth Frequency Radio. Some of you may not, so I'm going to take a minute and go through the history on this. James Belcher, James Clinton Belcher, and Anna von Reitzinger, or Marie Reisinger. She is our fiduciary, and James Clinton Belcher, he is our head of state. And it's his family lineage that comes all the way back. So I'm going to actually tell you about James Clinton Belcher's family lineage. They were known as the Belchers in Norman. And around the time of 1087, that is when William Wallace from William the Conqueror, if you've seen Braveheart, that's who I'm talking about. So in 1087, William Wallace and his barons went on a conquest, and they named it the Norman Conquest. And they went into England, and they just went all through the countryside and started to conquer England. And they were very successful. And not only were they successful, but the barons that were with him before he died, they had conquered so many lands. They even went through all the lands that they conquered, and they inventoried everything, like down to the sheep, the lands, everything. And they named it the Norman Settlement, which showed the list of all their lands and all the property from their conquering. What happened when that happened is that made William Wallace a sovereign. And so he took his sovereignty in that Norman settlement and gave it to all of his barons and their progeny forever. And so they became sovereigns. And Belcher, which is James Belcher's relatives or lineage, he was one of the barons. Now, those same barons, that's 1087. So in 1215, so we have a couple hundred years later, or 100 and something years later, probably about 6 generations or so later, all of these barons' families had written the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta is common law. It is what our common law constitution stems from, is the Magna Carta. Our Declaration of Independence, our constitutions, everything stems from the Magna Carta. These barons, with Belcher, they actually went and went to the king as sovereigns and demanded that he sign this Magna Carta treaty. And he did not want to, but because they were sovereigns and they were outnumbering him as sovereigns, he was forced to do so. And so that's when Magna Carta went into place. Now, if you fast forward again, that's still the same family of the Belchers. In 1608, the Belcher family moved from England to Massachusetts. They came into America on ship in Boston, and their family stayed there for 200 years. They have record of them being there this whole time from 1608 all the way up until the 1900s and something. But they changed their name. It went from Belcher to Belcher during that time. Well, William Belcher was the one that was there when they had the Revolutionary War. When the Revolutionary War happened, King George ended up, it's not King George, I'm pretty sure it's King John, ended up backing off, and Spain and France also helped, or was all in that. And so when that war was over, King John left the United States, or was the United States, it left America alone, and left the people alone, but they had come to an agreement that they needed to do international business. Now, in order to do international business back then, you had to be a sovereign. And now we have these colonies that are there, Boston, Massachusetts, and that whole area, all these colonies that are there, and King John is now going to leave them alone. So they needed a sovereign, because you have to have a sovereign in order to work in international business. It's like international law. And so William Belcher, who was a sovereign, because his lineage went all the way back to William the Conqueror, so he said he would pay it forward the same way that it was paid forward to him. So right then and there, after the Revolutionary War, he was actually a general brigadier or brigadier, or however you say that, in the Revolutionary War. Well, he gave all of the soldiers that fought in the Revolutionary War sovereignty, and all of their children forever. And he also gave everyone who was ever born here in America sovereignty. I do understand that we have our God-given sovereignty. I do understand that. I just was giving you the history, if anybody's wondering. I just wanted to give you the history on that. But after you move forward from there, we have the War of Independence. And when we had the Independence War, that is where we get settled with the Declaration of Independence, which we got our Declaration of Independence from the Magna Carta. Now, the whole time, from like the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, even before we were a country, what operated here was common law. Common law was the law of the land. It was the law that operated. The people actually ran it. The countrymen had grand juries, and they had courts, and that stuff was made up of the people. Just the people in the countryside. You would gather them all up and have a grand jury, or you gather them all up and have a court. And so it's common law. Courts and grand juries have been around for a very long time. The only difference is that we, as Americans, don't actually know or understand common law, because we've never actually seen it in action. Because our courts and our common law has been hidden from us for 6 generations now. So it's been quite some time. And our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-grandparents, they, if there was common law here, it was continuously being stripped from the population, so that it's just not here. And now they don't even teach it. And so, anyway, now we're learning something new. So that's how the history of that comes down. And the grand juries were always here. So we come into the Declaration of Independence, and our Declaration of Independence does state and say that we're under common law, and that we have grand juries, and that we have our courts, and that the sovereignty remains with the people and the states. And we have the constitutions that we have, all 3 of them, also states that, and it also states that if anyone has a capital crime or an infamous crime, that they can only be tried once there's been an indictment by a grand jury. We also have stated in the 7th Amendment that anyone who has a dispute for $20 or more has the right to have a trial by a jury of their peers in the common law. So we have the standing to have those things all as guarantees to we the people. The problem is we haven't had our court system, because we didn't know we were supposed to run it as we the people. And so we the people haven't run it. So as far as our grand juries are concerned, now that we set up our grand juries, so the grand jury has no limitations, just about. There's actually very few rules on it at all. One of the rules is that the grand jury needs to have 25 people. It's 25 members. In order for any decisions to be made, or in order for any business to get done, you have to have at least a quorum present, and that's 13. And if you have 13 members, you can still hold business. Any less than 13 members, then they just immediately, it cuts business off. In order to decide a case, you need 3/4 of a majority, depending on how many are in the room. You need 3/4. And if there's only 13 people there, then 12 of the 13 have to be in unison for whatever the vote is. Now, also grand juries, you guys can meet anywhere. You can meet in the internet. You can meet at a courthouse. You can meet outside. You can meet in a courtroom. There's no stipulation on where you guys can meet, ever. There's no stipulation on when you can meet. You guys can be called into session at any time. The way the grand jury works is it's here for the people. It's here for the community. It's here for the county. It's here for the state. The goal is to have, so we have our state grand jury right now. Our goal is to have 75 grand juries. That's 75 counties in each county, plus our state grand jury. There is so much power that the grand jury has. For instance, the grand jury, the mascot or the icon that's usually associated with the grand jury is a shield and 2 swords. So you have a picture of a shield and 2 swords. The shield is how the grand jury protects the people and the property of the people. And they protect the people by looking into and investigating any crimes that the government or anybody else may have committed against another individual. And that evidence can be brought straight to the grand jury by anybody that has evidence or suspicion. Also, that's the shield. The sword is that the grand jury can indict, and they can also charge and go after those who commit crimes, the government, if the government does commit crimes, or to not follow the Constitution against the people. And they also have the second sword. And the second sword is that they can also go after any criminal or anything. They can handle anything. So that's kind of what the grand jury does. Now, how it works is the grand jury comes and convenes. First, you take an affirmation that you will adhere to the duty of grand jury. Second, after you take that action, then you will hear evidence. And once you hear evidence on cases, then you guys would go deliberate, and then you would make a decision of whether to bring forth a presentment or to bring forth an indictment. So a presentment is if if it's someone that, say, 2 American state nationals have a conflict with one another, then one American state national comes and gives evidence, and then that presentment would be made to the other American state national through either our marshal or our sheriff. Now, that's a presentment. And then the second thing that we offer is indictments. So if the government, say, has a crime against one of our members, or has acted in fraud or in kidnapping or human trafficking or however, misrepresentation, whatever the crime is. If it's just a suspected crime, that person would come into the plaintiff, or the accuser would come in and give the evidence. The grand jury would then deliberate. If they chose and gave an indictment, it's also called a true bill. So they would give that indictment. That indictment would go to the U.S. District Attorney's Office here in Arkansas, the one here in Arkansas, and then that district attorney would be responsible for getting that indictment to that government official to have them brought into our courts to have a hearing. And then we would have a hearing with a 12-man pettit jury, and then that pettit jury would make its decision. So just so you know, as far as the grand jury is also concerned. You guys look at any evidence. If there's ever anything that you guys want to investigate, you can investigate anything at any time, to your heart's desire. How that works is you would, out of your 25 people, you would elect 4 people to be what's called grand jury investigators. And those grand jury investigators would then go forth and go out and investigate whatever it is that the grand jury was investigating. So if you're investigating the judges or the district attorney or the governor or the police or, I don't know, whatever, doesn't even matter. You can go and investigate anything. You can walk right up into their offices, tell them you're a grand jury investigator, and that you need access to whatever it is you need access to, and they're not to hinder you from gathering evidence. You can even go to the sheriff's department or the police department and ask for their help in gathering evidence, and they have to help the grand jury with and assist. And so it is outside of the government. So you have the 3 branches of government on the de facto side. You have the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. But the 4th branch of government is the grand jury and our courts. It's outside of their reach. It's outside of the government's reach. It's outside of the government's control. It's completely controlled by we the people. It's organized and ran by we the people. It is the way that we take this country back. It is how we go after corruption. And it is our Republican form of government. So there's some things that you guys can actually do. Some of the things that you can do is if there's something called nullification. You have jury nullification. So you can nullify laws. So if there's a law that's on the books and it comes across you guys and it's in a case, then that petit jury can absolutely nullify the law. When a law is nullified, it's taken to the Congress here in our state and brought before them either by registered mail or by our marshal at arms or our sheriff. And it's taken, that jury verdict is taken to Congress, and Congress will have to either erase that law or come up with something different. And if they do come up with something different, it would have to be in line with what the grand jury sees. So that's jury nullification. Another thing that the grand jury has is order nullification. So if a governor or a sheriff or a judge or makes an order, they have an order, and if that order is not up to par with the grand jury and the petit jury can absolutely look at it, and they can absolutely nullify those orders. There's something else called writ of attain. Now, writ of attain, now not bill of attainder, but writ of attain. Writ of attain was back in the 15 and 1600s, and we really need to look into this one. This one, we need to find a writ of attain somewhere in the old documents of the common law here in America, because this one, a writ of attain, allows the grand jury to, if there's someone in jail, then the grand jury can absolutely get them out of jail, have them come into their court, have their case tried before the grand jury. So the grand jury tries their whole case that was in the de facto, and whatever that grand jury's verdict is stands. That one is a very interesting one. Something else that the grand jury does is, I had mentioned this before, the public can come in and give evidence at any time. Whistleblowers can give evidence on anything at any time. The grand jury can look into chemtrails here in Arkansas, and you actually can see what laws are on the books for chemtrails and how they can fly these planes over our houses and spray stuff. And the grand jury can absolutely nullify those laws that are in place, those statutes that are in place to allow that and ban it. And we can actually, as a state, ban chemtrails. We can ban the fluoride in our water. We just have to look at it as a state and see where it is on the books in the state, and then go in and change it, because it's not healthy for the people. We can prove that it's not healthy for the people. So there's many, many things that we can do. Something else that the grand jury can do is that's look at the books. If our grand jury decides they want to go look at all the books and the accounting for the state of Arkansas and look at the monies and see where it's all going, you have the right to pull those files. You actually are the purse bag, too, for the state and your counties, as each county comes up. And so the grand jury can actually look at the books and say, yeah, well, we're not spending money here. It's the power. A grand jurist and a petit jurist both cannot be tried or punished for their verdicts and for their indictments or presentments. They have to be left alone, and their orders as a grand jury have to be followed. They have to be followed in an investigation. They have to be followed when there's an indictment or presentment. They have to be followed. And if they're not followed, then the grand jury can actually indict people and take people's property away for those that don't comply in the government. And there's things that they can do to ensure that they're adhered to. Now, again, we are literally dusting this thing off the shelf and wiping all the cobwebs off and reconstructing this thing. And now that it's up and running in Arkansas, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to respond. But we, the people, know where we stand. We stand on the land and soil. We stand in truth. We stand in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Magna Carta. We stand on those things, and we stand in our sovereignty. And so we have every right to reconstruct this thing and to take our place as a watchdog. And that's what we're going to do. And so I'm so very excited that we're getting the opportunity to start this thing. And I'm actually going to send you guys some YouTube videos that's on a playlist of a guy that's telling you about the differences between grand jury and de jure and grand jury de facto, just to kind of give you just some information, so you'll have some more information. Now, is everything correct? No, I don't have anything from Anna on this. I've had to go look at different places to get stuff that I can actually send you. Now, there is the books from Brent Winters. There's the ones that I've suggested to you guys in the past, but I wanted to get something in your hands that was digital. So I have a YouTube playlist that's coming that you can listen to if you'd like. I also have a packet of information. It's on a zip drive, or it's a zip file. I'll send you guys all of that. It has the Declaration of Independence. It has the Constitutions. It has Magna Carta. It has examples of oaths. I know we don't take oaths, but it has information. It has some state constitutions in there. It has letters in there. It has, I don't know, I'm just going to send it to you guys, and y'all just kind of do some research with it and kind of learn how grand jury works. And so you'll elect a foreman. You'll have a foreman and a deputy foreman when you get into your room, and you'll also ask questions. So when Cheryl comes in and she gives her case, you guys will have the opportunity to ask questions after she's done. and everyone that's there in the grand jury will have plenty of time to ask all the questions. In fact, until everyone says that they have no more questions, then that's when we move forward. And this will be our first case. We do have a couple cases coming right on the heels of this. I do believe that once you guys kind of get a swing of things and get in the swing of things and kind of get a feel and understand how this works, get a good cohesion, I think the grand jury is going to be very beneficial to our state. It's going to help us clean up this mess. It's going to be the tool that we need to clean up this mess that we're in and to get the de facto government back in check. And anyway, I'm really excited about it. I hope that you guys will dig in and gain a better understanding of the power that you have in this, and that you can research and investigate anything. And not only can you investigate it, but then you can actually put some teeth behind it and put some indictments out if there's stuff going on. Another example would be the pharmaceutical industries, the things that they're doing holding back, like ivermectin and meds from us in our state. We can attack every single one of those and push it forward and bring it forward and then bring it straight to our courts. Have indictments and then try the cases in our courts with our jury. And so it's very exciting. Anyway, I don't want to take very long tonight. I will email you guys all of the videos I just mentioned, or I may text message you the videos, the playlist, but I'll email you that zip file of grand jury document stuff that you can just kind of fish through and just get a better understanding. So just want to let you know, too, that Sunday at 3 o'clock this Sunday, we will be holding our first grand jury. We should not have anything holding us back. We shouldn't have any other issues that keep us from moving forward. We have an all go ahead from Anna, and so we are excited. So if you guys need me for anything, if you have any questions, concerns, feel free. You can email me, text me, call me. If I need to make another video before Sunday, I will, but I'm going to send this out to you. And again, we're doing it, guys. I'm so excited. See you later.